Listen, I'm not against people having a discussion about all sides of an issue in an academic setting. In fact, that's what I want more than anything else. I want people to be able to talk amongst themselves in an environment where it is safe to do so, and academia is supposed to be that environment. I had a great professor in college, at Manhattan College, where I could talk politics all day long. She was liberal as the day is long. I was finding my conservative voice, and we would discuss issues back and forth, and at the end of the day, we would part knowing that we are both better for the discussion, especially me, because I would be the one learning things. That doesn't happen today anymore. You go to school, you become indoctrinated. You don't go there to become a free, independent thinker. You walk in a free, independent thinker looking to be taught something. And what you end up leaving is, you're leaving a robot. You're leaving as someone who has been given values to put forth that aren't the ones that maybe they would have walked out with had they been given the opportunity to think for themselves. Is that so much to ask? Is that such a big deal now that we must have a demand for equal time? Demand equal viewpoints? Demand that one side get the same amount of time? And come on, folks. This isn't new in academia, by the way. There are student organizations set up right now. FIRE, I can think, is one of them for educational freedom. The idea that you have to actually think about educational freedom is mind-boggling in a free society. But when you have the hippies of yesteryear becoming the academics of today, and when you have those people who learned under them coming up as the new young movement, the cycle just keeps perpetuating itself. That is why Democrats have a 49% favorability view towards socialism. Because it starts when you're in your formative educational years. And you're told that this is the way it should be. Kumbaya, everyone should have everything equally. Not that we should work hard for what we get. Not that we should get equal opportunity. See, that's what they leave out about the equal, right, folks? It's the opportunity that's equal. No, everyone should have equal outcome. Well, why don't you tell Secretary Clinton that she should start giving away her money? You know, I actually had, and here's an interesting story, folks. I had a Bernie Sanders volunteer come up to me during a street fair when I was visiting my uncle out on Long Island this weekend. And he was trying to explain to me why Bernie Sanders is the only sound, logical pick to be the nominee for president and to actually be our president. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, what has this man gone through to think that way? And you know what? I started talking to him, and I tried to talk to him as I would my nephew Marcos, who's just in pre-K now. I said, can we agree that everyone should be able to spend their money as they see fit? If I want to walk into that store across the street and patronize it, I can walk in there. I can choose to buy something. I can choose not to buy something. Can we agree that that's the way things should be? He actually went along with it. So I said, great. So how can you tell me that a socialist like Bernie Sanders knows better what to do with my money than what I think? If I should be the master of my own destiny, the king of my own castle, and decide what to do with my money when I walk into that store, why shouldn't I be able to do the same thing when it comes to my health care? Why shouldn't I be able to do the same thing when it comes to my investments? Why shouldn't it be the same thing when it comes to the returns on my investments? What makes him smarter than me? Or makes him smarter than you? And then he started to regurgitate some response to me that wasn't really answering the question. And I said, you know what? I think you need to think about this a little more. If you have $10 and your neighbor has $1, are you giving him $5? He said, no, I'm keeping my money. Then you're not a socialist, and stop with this Bernie Sanders nonsense. Come on, man. And that's when he decided to part ways, because he knew he wasn't getting a Bernie Sanders vote out of me. But it goes back to this indoctrination idea that you start when they're young and they raise up, and you're seeing the cycle start over again now. Sean King writing for the Daily News, D-Ray McKisson teaching at Yale. Come on, folks. Think critically. Think at all, Democrats. Just use your brain and remember your roots. Your roots are not socialist. Your roots are actually the same as mine, based in American exceptionalism, based in the idea that we all have an equal opportunity to make ourselves great, not in the idea that government is the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. It's time to start using your brains. It's not time to listen to the fanaticism. Not the time to listen to the extreme. And I'll say the same thing to my party. There are some extreme dudes out there in my party as well. I get it. There are people out there that think that we should be off the grid. There are people out there that think we should be bunkered up and ready for war in our own nation. I get it. Nothing extreme ever works. But I think you need to have some values to work, to be credible, to live by. A code, if you will. And my code is think and believe that you can be exceptional. And hopefully one day you will be. But you're not going to get there if you have people like Sean King working at the Daily News, or if you have D-Ray at Yale teaching young, impressionable minds. Either be the news or report the news, Sean. Either be the message or teach all messages, D-Ray. Pick one. You can't have it all the time. There comes a time for choosing. If you want to be part of something that you believe in, go do it. But don't use a medium like mainstream newspaper media to do that. And, you know, all the blame here doesn't go to D-Ray or to Sean King. It also goes to the institutions themselves. New York Daily News, I'm looking right at you right now. You just let go so many credible, responsible, reputable journalists. And why? For the almighty dollar, folks. Advocacy entertainment is, hopefully for me as well, a very, very profitable industry. Look at Breitbart, look at the Daily Caller. Look at Huffington Post. Look at the Daily Beast. Look at the Daily Cause. They're all making money, otherwise they wouldn't be around, folks. I'm trying. I'm struggling. I realize that. But we're making some headway. But that model is a profitable model. Being uncontroversial and reporting straight news down the line is not a profitable model anymore. Newspapers are failing going down that road. But if you're looking for truth, and listen, truth is obviously an abstract concept, I get that. If you're looking for unfiltered information, truth, so to speak, you're not going to find it now in the mainstream media, because the mainstream media is a business. They're a business just like the store down the corner. Their job is to sell words, sell information. And they have realized now that there are separate and distinct markets. And those markets want to hear certain things. My market obviously skews conservative. But there comes a time where you have to put the advocacy aside and realize that you have a responsibility to those who come to you for information. And again, this is another example of not thinking that people can think for themselves. Advocacy entertainment caters to a point of view. It should be that we're catering to the opinions of people who have certain views, and to make people look things our way. Yeah, I get that. But at the same time, if you are in print media, if you are on television media, and you are just reporting news, just report news. I can go on and on and on about this whole issue for the whole night, folks. But it's getting close to the end of the show. I want to thank all of you for listening, especially given the fact that we have playoff time going on here in the People's Republic of New York City. Sorry, Philly. Although you did get my Giants. Eagles got the Giants, so, you got me. We got playoff baseball here in the People's Republic of New York City. We got Young Republican meetings happening. Almost time for a final thought. But once again, quick programming note. Beyond Enemy Lines, now on iHeartRadio. Check us out there starting next week. You can program us into your mobile device. Take us wherever you want to go. Also available on Stitcher and Spreaker and Podbay and Player FM and a whole host of other outlets out there that I probably don't even know about. Next week, Roger Stone, former advisor to Donald Trump, and the author of The Clintons' War on Women. Lots of interesting nuggets coming on that show. That is a show you don't want to miss, folks. I'm telling you, there's going to be something controversial said. I mean, it's Roger Stone. There's going to be something thought-provoking and controversial said. I mean, this is the guy who's been around in politics so long. He's got to know where all the bodies are buried. You know what I mean? It's going to be a great show. Russ will be back next week to join us as well. Hopefully we'll have the gang around again. That's at the YR meeting. And by the way, shout out to the Brooklyn Young Republicans. Check them out at www.brooklynYRS.com. That's where the show came from, folks. We started out not as advocacy media, but as advocacy radio, trying to drum up volunteers here in the People's Republic of New York City. And we made a difference doing it, winning some races. Final thought time for me is this. Donald Trump, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. I was wrong. I said it on shows that he'd be gone by Christmas. I don't see that happening now. We got a couple more debates coming up. We got a lot more entertainment coming up, that's for sure. The establishment's nervous, folks. The establishment on both sides are nervous. Because things are not going by the numbers this election cycle. Things are not happening according to plan. And when things don't go according to plan, you start doing some desperate things. And desperate times call for desperate measures. What we're seeing right now is some desperation out of both sides. We see some desperation from the Republican establishment when it comes to Donald Trump, the plants in the crowd, and all this other nonsense. We see some desperation coming out of the Democratic Party when we see Jim Webb, who's actually a Democrat and not a socialist, coming out and saying that he may run an independent campaign. And we're seeing the Democratic Party being pulled left, which opens up a lane of victory for whoever the Republican nominee is going to be. It's an exciting time to be involved in politics. It's an exciting time to listen to Behind Enemy Lines. We're going to be bringing you a lot more show in the weeks and months when it comes to election 2016. It's going to be an exciting ride. Check out www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check out replays of the show. And you know what? It's about time to shut this sucker down, folks. Thanks for listening again. Gene Baradelli, Behind Enemy Lines. Check us out next week. But for now, we are out of here. Good night, folks. Our position has been compromised. It's time to roll out. Report for debriefing at www.behindenemylinesradio.us and look for regular communications via Facebook and Twitter at BEL_radio. You are the resistance. Behind Enemy Lines. Back in 7 days. Out.